And we are live. Welcome, everybody. And hey, we're going to do something new and different. If you like this channel, subscribe and like it.
That's why we're only at 409 because we haven't been doing that.
We've been on like 70 shows without saying that, at least. But anyway, we're here today. It's very exciting because, as Ro so aptly put it, April's going out like a lion. And we have E L Lyons here.
Oh, yes.
And Tim McKay has shown up.
Tim.
Yay, Tim Bits.
We also have Jake, who is locked in the garage with me.
Oh, does that cat only have one eye?
Yes, he does. Well, the other eye he has, it's in there, but it's small and it doesn't work.
It's a pirate cat.
Yeah, he's a good pirate cat. Mostly. Not really, but I love him anyway.
He's a cat with character. He's been places.
He has been places and he has plenty.
Very poor depth perception.
He gets very offended if you try to pass him on his blind side. He'll hiss at you.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy off on cats being offended.
Tobias, welcome. This is an all Virginia show tonight, so yay for us.
The great state.
What do you go by?
L or Lyons? That doesn't really matter. I answer to most things.
If I go by last name, then I got to give you a knife hand at the same time, and it's just weird. Lyons, what are you doing?
Football coach.
So okay, L it is fine. Now I'm going to think of that movie.
Movie?
Oh God, what's the name of the movie? One where the woman goes to college and becomes a lawyer.
Oh, The Pretty in Pink, where she's got a chihuahua.
Legally Blonde, not
Oh,
Pretty in
yeah.
Pink.
Are those two different movies? They're both very
They're
pink.
two very different movies.
What was Pretty in Pink? If that wasn't
That
the
was
lawyer?
Molly Ringwald, 1984-ish.
No. Molly Ringwald is
John
the
Cryer,
same one
Ducky.
from Breakfast.
Yep, she was in
Breakfast
Breakfast Club
movie.
as well. Yeah.
I'm not very good with movies, but
Well, you and Mike could just sit here and have a hell of a conversation then, because Mike hasn't seen anything.
all right. Have you seen The Godfather, Mike?
I have.
I have not. So I'm pretty sure I would win in the movie department. I'm really behind, and I keep saying I'm gonna watch things, and I've started Indiana Jones like probably 50 times because I know I should watch all these classic movies. And each time I turn on Indiana Jones, because it's the next one on my list, I'm like 5 minutes in, and suddenly I'm doing dishes or writing or reading, and I don't even know how it happened. I'm just like not in front of the TV anymore. My body just possesses me with ADHD and says, you cannot just sit here and do nothing. You must be doing a thing.
So we're going to get everybody to give you a list of movies you need to watch, and just one movie, please.
Bro, Raiders of the Lost Ark is a classic movie. Does that make you feel old?
Oh dude.
What movie?
Among so much else.
Classic movie. I saw it in the theater during the original run. So,
I've seen Mad Max.
Oh, okay, well, that's something. Okay, so Jay Force says, Cool Hand Luke. Have you seen The Princess Bride?
There's so many princess titled movies, and I know I've seen the princess one. Princess Bride, is that the one with the 6-fingered guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have seen that. I have.
Okay. Good. Phew. Dave Lawson. This is a new movie, actually, and it's actually good.
I've seen it.
I went into that movie not expecting a lot, and was very pleasantly surprised with it. It's Chris Pine, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that? Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
Dungeons
and Dragons.
Tim Wolf is really. We'll get to the raccoon content, I guess.
I can't invite raccoons where I'm living right now. So this is not my garage. I know somebody complimented the background, but it's not my garage. And they have chickens here. So if we invite raccoons, we're probably going to get kicked out, and then I'll be homeless. But I did post a short video of a raccoon intruder that came through. It was not a very good video, but
And
Yeah, I missed the raccoon thing. Do you have raccoons in your stories?
well, the raccoon snack bar feeding and everything started. Okay, so I was feeding the raccoons. So I've explained this before, but I was feeding the raccoons like choice bits of compost kind of far away from the house, but I wanted to see them close up. So that's how the snack bar started. And I wanted to see them close up for book research because there's just like 2 scenes where there's a raccoon in this book that I'm still writing now, that I've been writing since like I first made a Twitter account. Well, I'm not. I finished editing. I finished writing. Like it's done. It just needs a cover. But so yeah, I just wanted to see more raccoons, and now I'm like the raccoon lady. I don't remember what the question was though.
That's fine. I think you covered it.
uh,
I think we've exceeded our usage of the word raccoon in a single episode in the
My
first
bad.
6 minutes. So we're good. I just have to ask. I meant to do this a couple minutes ago. Mike, did you get a new bookshelf?
I did.
Yeah. How long has that been there?
About 2 weeks.
Okay, so I haven't been here in 2 weeks, so that's perfectly fine. And I'm only just now noticing it.
So, and I have the top shelf is my brag shelf. All the authors who I have signed copies of their books. If I've actually, read them, they're turned out. Although
I
I
noticed mine's not up there, bastard.
haven't read yours yet, and I don't have it in.
What the hell's up with that? I've read yours like 8 times.
You got paid to edit it.
That's a fair point. All right. A door poster. What? Who is a door poster?
Is it me? I don't even think we have a door over here.
Maybe
All right.
This is the first time I've even been in this room, so
he's saying he, so maybe he's talking about me and my door poster there that you can't really see. Much of.
What's it a poster of, Mike?
I don't know. I liked it when I was at Indiana Comic Con. The guy across from me, I stared at it for 3 days, and I said I want it.
What
So
is it?
I have no idea.
So we can see it.
My brother told me it's from a video game or something. I don't know what it is. I don't play video games.
Keep it there. We don't need to see you. That's kind of cool.
that is cool.
Yeah.
Which?
All right, so we're 7.5 minutes in, and I guess we should note that E L Lyons is an author.
Yeah.
and has books. What books do you have?
Well, I have one book published. So Starlight Jewel, and the sequel is done, aside from the cover. Ostranger's Wrath.
What's
And
the first word of the sequel?
Ostrangers. So Ostrangers is actually a real word. It's like falconers, basically, but for hawks. So if you've read the first book, that makes sense. There are no birds in this book. There are no real actual birds. The birds are all symbolism. So if you're expecting
this
actual
cover is a complete lie.
It is. It's symbolic dead birds.
Okay.
But yeah, I did have somebody, a beta reader once, and I was posting on like a chapter by chapter site, and they just started in the middle for some reason. Like they just started at a random chapter. And so in the book, the assassins are called hawks and starlings. Like the male assassins are called hawks and the female assassins are called starlings. And so they were just reading this and reading that like hawks and starlings were talking. And they literally thought it was basically a book about Skeksis, like bird people. And they were so confused, which fair, you started in the middle, but they were like, I don't really know if this is going to be for me. I'm not really into like bird people.
Did you say Skeksis?
Yeah, Skeksis, like from Dark Crystal. I have seen that. I've seen that a lot.
I'm glad you have, because you said that word, and that's immediately where I went. I have not learned something. What?
I never saw that.
You've never seen the Dark Crystal?
No.
Dude, you're so fired. Get off this.
I don't know if it would have the same impact watching it for the first time as an adult, like, because as a child, it was terrifying. I had nightmares about being eaten alive by Skeksis.
Yeah.
And those big beetle
like, you gotta watch Dark Crystal, man.
Yeah.
I'll add it to the list.
But
put it right at the top of the list.
Watching it as an adult, it's much weirder than it even was when I was a kid. Just very a weird movie.
Well, I mean, looking at them now, you just know that some of those people were super, super high when they made those films.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Like that and The Labyrinth and pretty much all the fantasy films from like the 80s.
Labyrinth was also very good. Have you seen that, Mike?
No.
With David Bowie?
No. I know what you're talking about. I saw like him dressed up on the movie poster, but I never saw it.
I love the David Bowie parts in that.
Keep in mind that my mom thought that D&D would make you worship the devil. So
yeah, that would probably impede like most good movie watching. I don't know what you would be allowed to watch from the 80s with that kind of mother, because that all of it was just weird.
Well, she heard that from the Mom Network, so it must be true. But she didn't really pay attention to what we watched on TV. But you definitely could not. I'm going to go play D&D at a friend's house. No, that was just not going to happen.
My mom didn't have like rules like that. We were allowed to watch whatever we wanted, and I don't think she ever knew what we were doing at friends' houses. She might have taken issue if she did know, but I think she just assumed that we were causing minor enough trouble to not get arrested regularly.
That's a very 80s upbringing.
I was actually a 90s child. I think she just was behind the times with parenting.
Yep. Good for her. That was done right then for you.
She just released me into the woods. We had one of those big bells on the back porch, and like she would ring it for dinner, and then we would just emerge from the forest. So that was fun.
All of the parents in my neighborhood, all the mothers would just open up the door and like yell out their kid's name.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, is that you? Bro, that's you. It's time for dinner. So, it's like, all right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just.
We didn't have those big fancy bells.
Feral children. Well, we had like 24 acres that we lived on. So we could venture very, very far. And, if we didn't answer to the bell, it would have been assumed that we had died. And I'm sure she would have come looking for us, but
only after they ate, because you were eating leftovers cold.
Yeah, there was no eating cold food. But so it was a different time. My friends are all raising kids now, and it's interesting to see. And like they were all feral children too. None of our parents supervised us, and
today they would say none of your parents cared.
Yeah, they all just it was survival of the fittest, and if you lived, that was great. But now they're all parents, and they're very very parenty. They're doing a lot of parenting, a lot more parenting than I think our parents did.
No, they're not doing a lot more parenting. They're doing a lot more hovering.
Yeah, they're hovering a bit, but
did we hover?
I don't know. I can't criticize. I don't have kids.
As parents, did we hover? My son is wisely not answering that question. He just went like this.
See, this is why Lord of the Flies was boring to us, because we lived it.
Like, of course he's going to do that.
I mean,
okay. So, what is your book about? Wasn't that nice? Wasn't that smooth? Just right back into it seamlessly.
Yeah, I know I get distracted so easily, but the book is
the right place to be.
The book is dark epic fantasy. It is not romantasy. I always feel the need to emphasize that due to my marketing mismanagement early on. And
you call it romantasy?
No, but the book cover had like a woman and a male creature, like a tree dude on it. And I really didn't know, like I knew monster romance was a thing in like fan fiction, like in fringes, but I didn't know that you could traditionally publish a book or even just like publish a popular book. I didn't know there was a whole large group of people that liked monster romance, and that it was like a whole genre of its own. And so everyone assumed that the woman and the monster were together. And to be fair, they don't look like they're enemies, but it's because they're father and daughter, which made the confusion even even more awkward.
Oh, so it was an Appalachian romantasy.
Yeah, Appalachian romantasy, a little bit too close for comfort.
Zach, he has a comment for you.
I wanted tree smut and did not receive. Yeah, I think that's a sentiment that has gone around. And there's actually a few reviews on the book where you can see that there was disappointment. Where they were like, this is not what I was expecting, but I kind of enjoyed it anyway, maybe, but like, it's really not what I thought it was. And then there's other people who just DNF'd it. But
and that really tells you more about the readers than anything else, doesn't it?
Them not wanting to read it because it's not tree smut. Everybody's got their preferences. There's a ton of stuff that I won't read for silly reasons, so I'm not going to judge anybody on DNFing because I think I've gotten a reputation for DNFing more than like anyone.
Oh,
we could have a run there.
My first chapter culling, I think it was 17 out of like 123 books this year that I didn't DNF in the first chapter.
Wow. Okay, so you DNF much. You are a champ. I very much respect that.
It's because I read so slow that I have to. Like, I just cannot get through a book in like a month. Like, I see people reading like 4 books in like a month, and I can't. Like, I'm just so slow. So if I want to read the best books or the books that I'm going to enjoy the most, I've got to DNF them early, or else I'm just going to have like FOMO for the rest of my life. I'm still working on like the last Cullings book, like from Spiffbo 9.
Oh God.
I'll read
so tree smut is going to go down as one of those phrases that I'd never heard before, and I think the other one that we heard here the first time was zombie porn.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there is no tree smut. There is no spice in the book, but there is a tree prostitute, which is probably also a new one.
Montague. There you go.
Yeah, but so tree prostitute, she's like a half tree person, but I did prostitution a little differently. I don't even think most readers notice for a while that she's a prostitute. So that was kind of a fun way for me to write it, because I was trying to make this character really morally gray and a little bit rough around the edges, but I also needed her to be likable. And I didn't want it to be immediately apparent what the problems with society were. I wanted it to be kind of like a gradual, like, oh, that's a little weird. Oh, that's not quite right. And then by the end of the book, you're kind of like, oh, this place is actually awful. So I kind of dressed everything up really nicely. So prostitution is dressed up really pretty. And, the book kind of makes it seem less bad. Yeah, so there is no tree smut, though.
Right? I mean, how do trees work into this?
So Spriggans are like a Cornish fantasy creature that people who played, I think they're in Elder Scrolls. I always forget whether it was Elder Scrolls or one of the other Bethesda games. But anyway, so Spriggans are like tree people. The actual Cornish lore is nothing like the ones in Elder Scrolls, and the ones in my book are nothing like either of those. But aesthetically, I chose to make them more like the ones from the video game. And so
you knew it was coming. You knew it was coming in the comments.
The tree. Yeah, there's a lot of good jokes to be had with the book. I didn't anticipate how funny people were. I think every time I post anything about the romance side of it or the tree prostitution side of it, I get some of the funniest comments. Maya said something the other day about like, you might be in her DMs, but I'm a tree in his bathtub, which, this is a funny thing from the book, because she turns into a tree in his bathtub, basically. Essentially, not really. but it's
Yeah,
fun.
if you're going to lead on your marketing material with tree prostitution, I think romantasy is somebody's going to pick up on that.
I
somewhat.
know it seems like it would be romantasy, but it really is not. And there is kind of a more romance than you would find in like Abercrombie, but it's like a side romance and it's not very romantic romance. So nobody is like saying I love you. There's no touch her and die. It's not like that dramatic romance. So it really doesn't, and it also doesn't have happily ever after or happily for now. So don't go into expecting it to be like,
All right, so
fun.
some fools are getting killed then.
I don't want to give anything away. And as far as the ending of the series goes, I still don't know how I'm ending it, so I'm reluctant to say it ends well for anyone involved. But yeah, there's no, and Ostranger's Wrath also has less romance than Starlight Jewel, so I don't want to set people's expectations for the series up wrong either. But yeah, it's mostly
expectation you
epic.
want set is there is no romance in these books. These are not romantasy books. These are dark fantasy books, epic fantasy books.
Yeah, it is dark epic fantasy, but there is also romance. It's not completely devoid of romance. It's just not romantic. I don't think it's very romantic romance, like the romance that you would expect going into like the Sarah J. Maas books, which are a little terrifying. But it's
thing,
mostly epic fantasy.
The Hobbit had zero romance in it, like zero, until the movie came out, and they totally jacked it up by adding in a narrative that had no business being there. And you're giving me a look that you haven't seen the Hobbit movies.
I haven't. Oh, I saw the 77 but that's
well,
it.
Fine. The Hobbit movies that Peter Jackson did that everyone was so looking forward to. Mike, you were lucky that those have not infiltrated your eyeballs yet.
I knew better.
Yeah, well done.
Peter Jackson, so I will never watch anything he directs again.
I know I watched pieces of it. I've probably watched about 50% of the Hobbit movie.
Which one? There's 3.
Okay, never mind.
Huh?
I know I've watched some Hobbit movie. It might have been the first one. I don't know.
Yeah.
There was
they added characters in there that weren't in the book. And they tried to make some type of, deep romantic thing between one of the dwarfs and
the elf lady.
And an elf lady who had no business being there.
I vaguely remember that from the movie.
It was horrible. Hot garbage, as Tim McKay says. Absolutely correct, Tim. I was so looking forward to it and have never been more disappointed in a film.
Now, I could watch the Lord of the Rings movies over and over and over again. So I think it says something about the quality of the Hobbit, apparently, movies. I thought there was only one, but
well, there should have been only one. I mean, but somebody at Warner Brothers or wherever got super greedy and said, no, make it 3.
Yeah, I remember it opened with like kind of a musical quality, like the dwarves were singing in the Shire, and that was not very appealing to me. I guess it didn't have the same majestic vibes as the book, like just from the get-go, like, so that I think I was disinterested from the second it started just because of that. So it's hard if a movie loses me in the first 5 minutes. It's really hard for me to pay attention the rest of the time.
Never a good sign.
Blade itself is great.
So how have you done with your book? How has that been working for you? And when did it come out? Last year?
Oh, no, it came out in 2022. I think September.
People get salty in the comments.
That's because I put that the Blade itself has more romance than it does plot, which is true.
I mean, so there are different types of plots. So it has been said that Starlight Jewel does not have a plot at all by several reviewers. And I have several reviewers who also very heatedly insist that it does. And I think it's hard with like a very character-driven story to see the plot sometimes. And the Blade itself definitely, in my opinion, has a plot. It has a full circle character plot with a character arc within it. The actual plot. So there's plots like there's a big enemy and we have to go defeat that. And it also kind of has that sort of plot. I don't think it's as prevalent or as prominent as the character plot. But, there's different kinds of plots, and the character plots are also a little harder to see than the external ones. So if you are looking for a strong external plot, you should definitely not buy Starlight Jewel. You will not like it.
Well, having said that, though, right? I mean, you've got 67 reviews on this thing, which is really good, and none of them are below 3 stars.
Oh, on the Amazon, I do have. I think I finally got a 1-star review on Goodreads.
Did you?
Yeah. She hates Reddit, which is very fair. I have trouble not relating to any of the criticisms of my book because they're valid, and there are plenty of people who are not going to like it for very valid reasons. And generally it really depends on the person. I think whether they're going to like any book.
You have 2 different covers for this thing?
I redid the cover after all the monster romance confusion. So I have my artist make a new one with the dead birds, which I felt fit the dark epic vibe a little bit better. And so nobody got it confused for Appalachian romance.
All right. I am just, Mike, you go ahead. I am reading through a couple of the reviews. So you know what, though? Honestly, you've got 88 reviews on Goodreads in this thing, and only 2 of them are 1 star. And one of them is from somebody who is doing as an arc.
Oh, yeah. So it wasn't really an arc. It was from NetGalley. NetGalley lets you put your book on there even if it's been out for 2 years. But the readers don't exactly understand that. So they think it's an arc. It's not really an arc. It's just a regular review copy.
Yeah. And so they were obviously one of these people who expected it to be a romantic book of some description.
Yeah. And that's also fair because it was mislabeled as romance. Both times it went into NetGalley. I didn't have control over it either time. So if you go through Victory editing, I hear that you do have control over how your book is managed and everything. But the first time I had to fill out a confusing form. I went through SFWA. And then I sent them an email and I asked them to correct it from the romance, to take the romance off. So it was only romance for a couple days on that one. The second time I had a friend put it up there as a favor. She has a publishing company and she put it as romance, but my life was so hectic. It was during the move and things were crazy. So I just didn't even bother correcting it. I figured I'd see if some romance people wanted to read it. There is romance in it. They did not. They did not want to read it.
Yeah. This person was pretty harsh. But okay. We won't read that.
Very fair, though. All their criticisms, if you're looking at that 1-star review, it's very fair. I relate to what they said. Nothing they said was particularly untrue. So.
Yeah. And you know what? If one person out of 88 or 172 or whatever it is feels that way, that's fine, right? I mean, that's.
Yeah.
Everybody else seemed to really enjoy it.
I was waiting. It took almost 2 years to get a 1-star review, and that was shocking to me. Because some people, NetGalley is known for having really harsh reviewers, and some people, put their books on there and get shredded. And so I was shocked when that didn't happen the first time. And then the second time, I think it didn't get nearly as many people on board. It had the new cover at that point. But yeah, I'm shocked everybody was so nice. Even the people who DNF'd it usually on NetGalley gave it 3 stars and were just like, it just wasn't for me, I realized. and they're super cool about it. I have the best readers, even the ones who did not like it. I feel like have been so cool, and the 1-star reviews is really funny.
It's kind of like a rite of passage, though, when you're waiting for that. I just got my first one this last year, and I don't have anywhere near as many reviews as you do, though, so the percentage is worse. But what's that, Mike?
Much, much higher.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I mean, and then it was a little disappointing, actually, because it was like, okay, this person obviously did not read past the first chapter because there was something there that they didn't like. And I get it, because the first chapter is grim, right? Some bad things happen to people who you wouldn't expect bad things to happen to. And this person was just like, that's not even conceivable. Yeah, it's a fantasy story with magic and shit, man. It's conceivable. So just move along, Had you made it past that chapter, you've been okay, but whatever.
So
it doesn't bother me, though.
Can we get our questions out of the way now?
Oh,
which ones? Go ahead, ask your damn question.
Okay.
All you're going to do is be disappointed again when she picks the one.
No, E L's not going to disappoint me. She is going to be right there. So this is what I want you to imagine. You are going down the main street of your city, and you are in a saddle. You can either be riding a T-Rex or a Griffin. Which one do you choose and why? And there's only one right answer, and most people get it wrong.
Which tells you what? The right answer isn't the one that you expect.
Okay, so I'm going to go through this out loud, my thought process. The Griffin has wings, and I feel like that's going to make it a little bit difficult to ride. Because, the body of a Griffin is not huge. You're basically going to have your knees under its wings, and, it's going to be a little awkward. And you have a saddle on top of its back, or you're riding it bareback, and you're trying to stay on a flying thing without a saddle. And I don't particularly like flying at all. I actually hate flying. I hate being off the ground. I really am a ground person. I don't like being on the water, don't like being in the air. So the idea of being bareback on a flying animal where I only have like maybe a foot of room behind wings, and it's not just the wings. Wings aren't like a completely isolated appendage thing. The muscles of the wings are going to be all the way down the back. So as it's flapping, it's going to be flapping me. I'm going to get hit in the face with air. The muscles are going to be bouncing me. And I'm going to be holding on to it for dear life, which I'm sure it's not going to like. I'm probably going to get airsick and vomit on the Griffin. So, again, that doesn't sound...
Just take that right behind you. You wouldn't have any problem with
that. Yeah, I guess I could turn and look back down at civilization below me and get even more sick.
So what about the T-Rex? How would that be?
Yeah, I think I'm going to take the T-Rex. Because
aren't T-Rexes like 40 feet tall?
Yeah, but it's on the ground. So I feel more.
You're not on the ground. You're 40 feet in the air.
I mean, if you fall, you can just fall backwards, just slide off. And you can have a saddle, and its arms are so short that it can't like reach around and grab you. Because of its anatomy, you're very safe. Like, a horse, when you're getting onto it and everything, can reach around and like nip you. They're kind of sassy sometimes. But yeah, I feel like a T-Rex is very limited in what it can do once you're on it. It can't even buck you off, really. Like, because of its it's only got 2 walking legs. Like, so what's it gonna do? I feel like that would actually be a really easy ride. And they're also really slow.
And the best part is when you get off, you can just slide down the tail. I mean, you get to slide.
Yeah, just slide down.
Only when you're done work at the quarry.
Yeah.
Right.
And get into my little foot pedal car.
So you're picking the stupid dinosaur.
I am picking the dinosaur because
You're
I don't
very
trust
certain.
myself to stay on the Griffin. And I also feel like I might have a heart attack in the air.
Okay. So there's a bunch of folks actually watching this tonight, so they must have come for you, obviously. And being that situation, they probably haven't maybe seen this show before. So before they all leave, I will ask them, even if it's just out of irony, go hit the subscribe button for us, just for shits and giggles, please. Thank
They
you.
are very cool. I've been on here before, and I'll probably be on here again one day. And
All right. So
both-
now they need to know that there are a couple of questions that everybody gets asked, and I don't know why. And I think when some people in the comment section start saying, "This is enough, we need to move on to something else," we will do that. But so far, nobody has. Hint, hint, hint. So, two questions.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to fly.
No,
You're-
you're absolutely right. You got it right.
You're not a big movie person, but how about TV?
Also not. It's just because I'm not doing anything for like TV and movies. My
So it's
hands
safe to
aren't
say
doing anything.
You're not a Star Trek kind of fan?
Oh, I actually do love Star Trek because I would do things. I watched it all growing up. We would make Earl Grey tea, and we would drink tea with Captain Picard. Obviously,
Is that the only Star Trek flavor you've seen? Is the TNG?
No, I've seen them all, but
Okay.
I think that was probably
Good.
my
Then-
favorite because I was doing something with it.
Who is your least favorite Star Trek captain?
Well, the only ones I can even remember are Picard and the Jar Jar fans. I'm also a Jar Jar fan. Who's the other? I don't even know if I can remember the other guy. The hairier one who's in all the commercials now. Like he's I think they're like airline commercials or insurance commercials. Who's the other? Yeah, I don't even remember. So I guess Picard is my favorite and the rest are my least favorite. But there was one other one who I liked and enjoyed, who had like a wider face than Picard and a more rough personality. And I liked the other guy who was not a captain.
My God, if you ever
Right.
witnessed a crime, you really need to take out a notebook.
Yes. Yeah.
Because the sketch artist will have nothing to go on, and the police will just be smacking their heads against the table.
There was one time in college where I was in a class with a girl and we sat next to each other, and we were lab partners, and apparently we were in all our classes together all year, and I didn't know. She was sitting beside me and she was my lab partner in 3 different labs and sat next to me in every class, and we talked in every class. And I didn't realize she was the same girl until the end of the year when she asked me if I wanted to study for exams together. And she gave me her number. And in the next class, I asked her if she wanted to study for exams. And as I was saying it felt really familiar. And she was giving me this look. And I was like, I feel like I've done something wrong here.
Thinking to herself, I don't want to study with this person.
She
What did she
actually
bring into this table? I mean,
she did study with me, and I think she ended up thinking that I was like maybe joking, and so it worked out. But yeah, I felt really it kind of dawned on me that I was not meant to remember things about people, and that I might have a little bit of a problem paying attention. I'm not very observant. One time I got a gaming monitor for my birthday, and my boss put it in the middle of my room. My room was clean. There was nothing, it's not like it was like trashed or anything.
your boss?
Yeah, I live at work. I'm a living caregiver.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so he put it in the middle of my room. I didn't notice it for a week. I just walked right by it, back and forth. I had to walk around it. It was in the middle of the room. And it just didn't occur to me that it was there. Just I'm always in my head, thinking about things. So yeah, nobody can ever rely on me for a crime sketch. If there's a crime, you'll be lucky if I remember it 2 days later. I've already moved on with my life. So.
All right, then I shouldn't, but I'm going to take a swing at this. Have you seen the Harry Potter films?
Yes, I watched those at some point.
Yeah, I know this is a lot because I'm asking you to remember characters and things that happen. But who do you think was the real hero of the Harry Potter films or books? Doesn't matter.
Okay, so I do remember the books better. I'm gonna say Snape, obviously. Professor Snape is the obvious answer. I mean,
you have redeemed yourself in your eyes.
He was the ace in the hole. He was the secret. I'm sure I'm spoiling it for all the people who haven't read or seen.
The statute of limitations on spoilers for Harry Potter is well over.
But Dumbledore felt that his role was important enough that he was going to make one of his best friends and allies miserable for years, which is what, Snape's role in the plans. It made him miserable. He was so miserable because of what he was hiding and what he was doing and how he had to act. And
Dumbledore was a sadist. I mean,
he was kind of mean. I feel like there were better ways that he could have handled things, especially with children.
That dude shouldn't have been within 500 yards in school, much less running. Yeah,
he made poor decisions. All right, I did like Sirius too a lot, but I mean, spoiler, he died. And they had to do a lot without him because of that, because he was in prison for a lot of it and he was dead for a lot of it. So that did reduce his effectiveness as a character in the actual conflict. But Snape's role in the conflict was, pretty significant, I feel, and I don't know that they could have done it without Snape. He was feeding insider information the whole time. There's also, there's what you see from Harry's POV, the child. And then, there's, of course, what was probably going on behind the scenes. And Snape was their best inside guy. So I do feel like he probably, was.
Now, between this and the whole T-Rex decision, I would hate to go grocery shopping with you. I think that would be cool. I don't know.
I am not the best grocery shopper.
It just seems like, especially in the cereal aisle, there would be so many decisions that need to be made. It might take you a while to make it through that aisle.
I have to read the ingredients on everything.
Okay. Let me ask you this then. You seem to be a very detailed kind of person. And do you watch this, Mike? This is smooth. You wait. Do you have any instances where you had to learn something you didn't really have to, but you wanted to get something just right in your books? Like you just really wanted to see how something worked and figure it out?
Lots of times.
Yeah. Give us an example.
There's the hair jar, which I talked about before the show, and I've talked about on other shows.
Yes, that's what I was alluding to.
Yeah, so making my human hair cordage. So for those who don't know, I am collecting my hair like a creep, and it's in a jar on my bathroom counter, which I'm sure is very attractive generally. So I'm collecting it every day that I remember. So I'm on day 29 of remembering out of 3 months, which is pretty good for me as far as remembering things goes. So one whole head of hair can hold 4,000. Oh, you have a question?
No.
This is Roe. Go ahead.
Yeah, don't ignore me. That's fine.
Yeah. Oh, okay. 4,000 pounds is how much a full head of hair can theoretically hold.
Now,
and
you say a whole head of hair. There's your head of hair, there's my head of hair, and there's Mike's head of hair.
So 4,000 is the max capacity. So it would be for a luscious mane like this, which
luscious, Mike.
Yes, it's luscious. I've never. I don't usually keep my hair long. I actually hate it. It's driving me a little bit insane. Just because I don't like it to touch my face or my neck. and it's touching my face and my neck all the time now. And it's also really heavy, and it takes so long to just take care of it in a very basic way. Yeah, so, but losing 50 to 100 hairs a day, and the character's hair would be longer than mine. So that is kind of, and I thought my hair was really long, and I did finally measure it. It's only 10 inches. And like I was looking, so I had done research on Victorian and medieval hair and what the noble women's styles would have required. And it's like, 15 to 20 inches of hair. And I can't even imagine that. That's so much hair. It's going to weigh so much. And, but yeah, so she would have about twice as much hair as me, which is insane. But yeah, cordage, but even grown long by the time it's wound and bound, it will be a foot long. Actually, I have two 12-foot braids right now. So it doesn't need to be as thick as you would think. Because she's a hybrid, this character, she's, part tree person, and plant matter actually weighs less than, mammal matter. So I did do a bunch of math, which I hate doing, but I will do it for the sake of books to figure out, how much this character would in theory weigh if she was the size of, a human. I was thinking a little bit shorter than me. But also had this hybrid anatomy. So like the kind of wooden bones and plant fiber, gelatinous fiber in her flesh. So I did some math to try to figure that out to get her weight. So she does weigh a little bit less than a human would. And also hair is really strong. It's a fantastic fiber. And since you lose so much of it every day, and she's in the situation where she's collecting for about 2 months, it's actually going to be a pretty nice sized rope. And even with my hair, two 12-foot cords, and they're thin. So I'm going to cord those together after to kind of maximize the strength. But two 12-foot cords after 29 days, I think is pretty good with only 10-inch hair. So I'm pretty sure all my math checks out, that she's going to have a nice long hair rope.
So I have a completely ridiculous question for you.
As opposed.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's shocked. So if your main character is somewhat tree-based and the hair is plant material, which means it's cellulose, are you going to have termites? I'm just curious now if there's going to be termites. And yes, that's where I went.
There have not been any termite references in the book. There are tree-based diseases. So there's dark rot. So there's if a hybrid stays in the dark too long, they get a skin condition that will eventually, kind of turn gangrenous and kill them. And there's separation sickness, which, they can't be away from the ground for, extended, or even kind of short periods of time. So they can't go on boats, which was really just me self-inserting my own dislikes of the world onto them. I don't like boats, and so they'll die if they go on them.
Because it might be someone they knew and it would be rude.
To be on a boat?
Yeah.
Oh, because it was made of trees. No, it's just about the ground. They get their, sustenance from the dirt. So, they've got kind of like so it's mostly low fantasy, but there are aspects of it that are a little bit more magical. So they've got kind of like a bond with the ground that they need to sustain them. So that is kind of one of the more fantasy things.
I'm just amazed that you went to all the trouble to do this, because you could have just said she did this thing and people would have been like, yeah, okay. It's a tree person after all, right? We've suspended belief enough to be okay with the existence of a tree person.
Mm-hmm.
The hair rope is that's not a bridge too far. That's okay.
I mean, I struggle in fantasy with suspending belief. That is like one of the hardest things for me. So I really appreciate it when other authors really ground things in bits of reality. Like they make the fantasy plausible. Like when I'm writing, I really can't. I can't not do it. It's not like I want to do it. I can't not do it with my own work. And it's with everything. So even from making the tree people, instead of just saying they're tree people, I looked at pleiotropy. And, I decided I looked up the genetics and tried to make 2 brain overlays of, human brains and various animal brains and kind of where things overlap. So where a bird navigation system is. And that's how I made all the characteristics of all the hybrid characters. And then looking up, what kind of things trees are sensitive to, and basically just trying to make it realistic. But the pleiotropy determine their attributes or their like magical abilities, which aren't really that magical. It's like keen senses and stuff. But can you graft a tree person? Actually, grafting is briefly mentioned in the first book. As a kind of an explanation for how hybrid wounds heal. So there's like a character who gets, severely injured, and she's kind of trying to explain to somebody how the internal organs of a hybrid heals.
See, now that's the high road, because Mike or I would have used it as an excuse for like tree autoerotica or something, and that you definitely took the high road there, and we appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. It's if you trim your character, will she flower? So the hybrids, or at least the main hybrids in the story, look very human on the outside and have like a lot of internal tree anatomy, which only comes into play so much when they get sliced open. But that does happen. So, but there's also the low birds and the nameless, which are like lower ranking hybrids, and they have like external Spriggan traits. And so some of them do have bark skin and branching. And I imagine that there could be some flowering branches. I did have my cover artist asked if I wanted some leaves or anything on Rorik's arm. Rorik is the main, like the Spriggan King, when she was drawing him. And I said no, I politely declined because he's supposed to be scary.
The Vermonter in me demands that I ask this question, and I'll ask it on behalf of Tim McKay as well. If someone goes up and tries to tap a maple tree, will it just beat them?
They don't even need to go up and tap the tree people. If they just walk in the forest, you get eviscerated and dismembered.
Okay, so there's no syrup in this world, is what you're saying.
There is no syrup, correct.
Who wants to live there? And
so the whole hybrid city, the diet, I did a lot of research on diet too, on what they would have been eating. So this city, kind of caters to the hybrids, even though there's humans there. They don't put salt on their food, and they don't put vinegar on their food. And this city was chosen geographically because they could manage that, because it's a warmer climate. So then you go up north, and like this hybrid character can't really eat anything there because in colder climates, you need the salt, you need the vinegar, because there needs to be a lot more food preservation in the colder months. But in the main hybrid city, I did do some dietary research to see what kind of things a plant person would be able to eat and what would be available if you did not have the forest. And there's also a lot of like, environmental politics. Since they can't go in the forest, there are a lot of things that would be more expensive in medieval times if they were like glass. But they can't make things out of wood. Wood would actually be the most expensive thing here because they don't have access to the forest. So there's more wood and stone things or more glass and stone things than there are wood, and more clay and other materials that, they might have used wood instead in actual medieval times. So I had to kind of research that versus up north where the forests are. There is a Spriggan forest up north, but there's also regular non-Spriggan forests. There's like a treaty that dictates their territory, but wood is less expensive there. So they do have more wooden stuff. And than at the capital. So it also depends on who has the biggest navy. You need wood for ships, and that comes more into play in Ostranger's Wrath because of things that happen in book 1. But there are certain countries that have more ships because they have access to their forests, and certain countries that have less, and shipbuilding is more difficult. So I really like that side of things, to like research the economics and the geography and the environment and how these different things would affect them. But yeah.
There's no audiobook for this, is there?
There's not. I did record like the entire book myself, and but I don't know if you remember the last time you interviewed me. I lived in Virginia Beach, very close to the biggest jet base on the East Coast.
Yeah.
and between the jets and the cats, it was going to be so hard to edit. And I got better at narrating by the end. So I've decided to do the whole thing over again. Just because editing out a jet every 10 minutes really sucks. It's not like you can like I don't want to leave all the jet noise in there for everybody. But yeah, I was just having to start over. And you don't realize how much noise is in your house until you try to record like an audiobook. Every time the air conditioner or heat turns on, when the refrigerator decides it's going to like ramp up and make noise for whatever reason. I don't know why it does that. I guess it's like it has to recool itself every once in a while. Or the cats, because they want in the room and then they want out of the room and scratch the door.
Fun like that.
Yeah. And when you have 4, that's a lot of cat wanting in and out.
You have got to meet a gentleman from the UK whose name I forget, and I was trying to look up. The pair of you would get along so well, but I don't know if you'd ever write a book.
Just get lost in ADHD.
He's been putting together details like you have for what, 15 years, Mike?
Yeah, Ollie Arditi is his name.
Okay. Arditi. I haven't encountered him in the community that I know of. So
he's about the same age as Ro and I, and for over 20 years he's been writing his fantasy world to the point where he has historical documents from 2,000 years before his city that he has written from one king to another.
And he hasn't written a book yet.
Yeah, he has languages, and he has them. They've changed over the 5,000-year history. That he's going full Tolkien, and then creating an entire world. And he's not published a book yet. And he's a foodie, so he's going to also do a cookbook when he finally does publish, because he
needs to start writing the book. You can't research forever.
He said this year would be his first book. I checked with him.
Episode 143 for him.
Yeah, I checked with him about a couple months ago where he was at, and he said he's hoping to publish this year. But yeah, Ro and I, when we were finished, we're like, oh my God, we just hope this book is awesome, because this guy, 20 years to create a world, and then he's going to start writing books.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so interesting, all the stuff he's put together. I mean, very much like what you've just described here. You make me feel like I'm cheating, right, by not doing all the work. But I'm not going to. I don't know how you're putting out a book every year, quite honestly.
I'm not putting out a book every year. I think it took me like three or 4 years to do Starlight Jewel. And it's been since before I published Starlight Jewel that I've been writing and editing Ostranger's Wrath. So like July of 2022, I think is when I started. And the research is really fun. I will say that. I love the research, but I kind of like the whole process together. And I also just can't help myself. I would like to say that it's like because I really, really care about it a lot, but it's not. It's just because I have no impulse control. And like, so I'm writing and I want to do this thing. And I'm like, but I have to know these things. And then, it's kind of, then you fall down the rabbit hole, and then you come back and you change everything you just wrote because you've decided that you want to like make a character a whole different species because of that rabbit hole. And, so it's my writing process. It's like a bunch of ADHD things feeding into each other. I love the writing. I love the researching. I love the editing for the first year. And then after that, I do it out of compulsion, like, because I don't feel secure enough to just like publish something until I feel like it's really ready. And I just, I have to keep fixing things because I keep seeing them. So I can't not fix them. I don't remember the number of the tensile strength of human hair. I only remember the 50 to 100 hairs a day and the 4,000 pounds per head of hair. I know I looked
African hair or European hair?
So
there is a bunch of differences between, so, you know, as you age, your hair gets more delicate,
gray,
less strong.
crackly.
Oh, yeah, gray and crackly. Yeah, that too. But so I'm 34, so I am about a decade older than this character would be. And Patrick Rothfuss disease. Yeah, I think I've got like 4 copies of that one book because he didn't publish the rest of the series. But yeah, so if you are young and you have a healthy diet, that's going to make a huge difference. Oh, you guys said you wanted hair tips. I actually have those from my research. So iron and marshmallow root and rosemary and aloe vera are all things that are good for your hair growth and your scalp growth. And so I actually did want to add one. I know I said I was done editing, but then I realized that I could add the iron, and she can lick the bars. And I think that you can get iron. So I need to do another research rabbit hole. The book is done, but I did want to look that one last thing up just because I thought of it. And I was like, you know what? She can't take iron pills, but she could. The cage is iron. And I'm pretty sure that if you lick iron, you actually get some of the iron. Because you know, I forget, there's something that people used to do. Like I've seen like they put the iron thing in the pot when they're boiling water for food. That was like a old thing to like get your iron up, like a little iron toy, basically. So I think that I could do that and get away with it. I need to think about it a little bit more and put it together. But Vivian is actually finding all my typos right now. So since I edit so much, it's like I need like 5 passes of beta readers to find the typos. And I always edit them in. It's really frustrating. Yeah. Iron, the cast iron pots and pans. I can't wait to be using cast iron on a gas stove. My little kitchen setup in my closet is weird. But yeah, so I think she can lick the bars. I think licking the bars is going to be added into the book, as long as I don't see any problems with that. Do you think it could be a little bit weird if I don't do it right? There's always, whenever you have a character, you know, doing something odd, to write it the right way. But yeah. I don't remember what the question was again. I got lost.
Don't put anything about licking the bars on the blurb or anything, or you're going to have people once again all mad about it not being romantic.
Yeah.
I was promised bar licking.
my practical thoughts often come out wrong. So gotta be careful. And he's like, is this a romantasy beta reader for the blurb?
So, Elle, I have a question that might very well trigger you, but I can't not ask it.
It's a grammar question. I feel like
it is.
I'm ready.
It is my contention that English only needs one raised horizontal line, and we need to get rid of the M dash and the N dash and just go with the hyphen for everything.
And I'm going to be horrible and agree with Mike. This is something Mike and I can actually stand on a hill together on and say we really only need one frickin' dash. It's fine.
I mean, I have so many qualms with the English language. I was just this morning complaining about how adjectives should be called adnouns, but there's actually already adnouns, which are something that are, you know, it's not like an adverb. It's, you know, when you're treating an adjective as a noun. But anyway, aside from that, I have tons of complaints about English, but I do like the aesthetics of the longer dashes. The shorter dashes feel.
Hey, look, we'll meet you halfway. Just pick one of them.
Yeah, I don't care
which one.
Just one horizontal raised line is all. You know,
Yeah,
just
I agree with Maya. We can get rid of the en dash
I don't know
because
when to use it.
when to use the en dash. Well, since you're Virginian, you're you're here with me in America. It's really only for like when you're replacing the word to. There's not very many instances where we're going to use the en dash over here in America, but in the UK, the en dash is their em dash most of the time. Not all of the time. When they have interrupted dialogue at the end, they still use the em dash for that. But for like a parenthetical aside, then you would use an en dash over there. An en dash with spaces on either side, though. And I feel like if you're going to do all that, you may as well just use an em dash. I don't know why they want the special en dash.
This took a really weird turn.
Exactly, Tim. Exactly. If you've got adverbs, add noun, I agree. The add noun versus adjective does not make sense. They should be swapped.
What the hell is this?
Add nouns and adjectives?
No, this Monday -- Friday.
Oh, I think she meant to do an em dash. So usually -- hyphen creates an em dash automatically in programs like Word.
Things I did not know.
But it depends on which program you're using, whether it makes an em dash or an en dash. But yeah, Monday to Friday would be an example of when you would use an en dash in the United States instead of I don't know what Canadians are doing. I'm sorry, Tim. You guys are lost up there. I don't know which things you pick and choose, whether you're em dash users or en dash users. Yeah, exactly, Tobias. The aesthetic of the em dash is very nice, and it really fits, to separate things and make them feel like more of a pause. But yeah,
Michael,
Canadians.
Don't ever bring this up again.
I'm sorry.
So
no, it's not you. It just, the Oxford comma kind of, that little debate, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can see both sides of that because I used to be anti-Oxford comma and I've come around to it, right? I've become, I don't want to say a believer, but a convert at the very least.
No.
But what's that?
This is my brother. I think he's just trying to trigger me.
Yeah. But the whole dash thing, just put a fucking line in there and just be done with it. Okay. Just put a dash in, and if you want to make the dash a little longer, that's great. But just the whole conversation of en dash, em dash kind of makes me queasy.
I don't know. I feel like the aesthetic is important to me, that I can understand the frustration. And it is one of the most common things that I correct. Like if I'm beta reading for somebody or reading their book, which they always think they're going to enjoy more than they do. That's one of the things I'll send screenshots of. And so I do get that it's frustrating. I think it would be less frustrating if they gave us a key and you could just, hit em dash.
That would make it so much better.
Yeah, because every
if
program,
I have to hit multiple keys to do something to replace a 2-letter word,
exactly,
I'm just going to use a 2-letter word, right? It's just faster.
Yeah. It is. It's frustrating, and then people will play it down. They'll be like, "You just have to hit like the alt code," or like, it does it automatically in Word. Not all of us use Word, and
So
Word's algorithm is also not perfect.
There's got to be a key that's pretty useless on here, right?
There's 2 controls. There's 2 commands on my Mac anyway. There's 2 tabs, I think 2 shifts. There's a bunch of double keys and all those F keys. I don't even know what those things do.
Well, I'm looking at my F
life.
keys up here, and a lot of them are like fast forward, rewind, pause, play. Put those damn things over on the keypad somewhere,
Yeah, like I don't feel like. And there's caps lock. Nobody should be using caps lock anyway. Caps lock should be illegal. I could have an em dash.
Really, really mad. I can go through this comment thing here and find things written in caps lock.
Yeah, I see Tim used caps, but I think he probably just shifted that.
She loves hunting for typos. The cap locks is good there, because now we know how much she loves it. She doesn't just like it.
You should have to use shift. If you really want to yell, you have to put in effort in person, right? So you should have to put in effort on the keyboard. You should have to hold that shift to get that capitalization, to get that yell in there. I don't think caps lock is a little bit overused, especially by, like, you know, political
people on social media.
Yeah, people are always mad, man. And I feel like, you know, if we just took away that caps lock and gave people the M dash, there would be less frustration in the world. And it would be better for everyone if we just didn't have it. If we just had the M dash instead. But yeah, see, you just hold the shift. If you really want to do it, if you really want to yell at somebody, commit to it and use the shift button. Like you're actually yelling. We should tax it. Caps lock should come with a tax.
That's a very Canadian thing to say.
Ro, did you ever think that maybe we should just not talk and have the people in the comments run the whole show?
We don't. We've done that before, man. It's all good.
Yeah, the chat GPT hyphen is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I saw that post. It made me so mad. You can't just rename. People are calling the M dash the chat GPT hyphen. It's not even a hyphen. They're making it sound like a different breed of bird. It's not a hyphen. You can't call it a chat GPT hyphen. If anything, it's a chat GPT, however you say it, M dash.
Elle, I have a question for you. Are you against calling the ellipse drama dots?
No.
I love drama dots.
They are very dramatic. And my mother uses them all the time when she's texting inappropriately.
No.
So inappropriate.
We Gen X and older, we love our ellipses.
Yeah, my mother loves them, and she doesn't have any idea what they're for. She doesn't know why she's using them. There was one time, it was like, I don't know, 12 years ago, where she was like, your grandma called ... And I was like, okay, is she in the hospital? Like, you know, and this was when both of us had first started. So I guess it was probably more like 20 years ago. We had both just gotten cell phones. You know, we were entering this cell phone world of texting, and I had just gone to college, and it was just like, what is she doing? Why is everything dramatic? And like, I was worried everyone was
days. You had to push like the 6 3 times to get a G or something.
So you add more dots because of that? That doesn't even make sense.
The dot, just one button gave you the dot.
I am. They are dramatic.
I do like the term drama dots, though, when they come up when somebody's responding to you and you're waiting for it. And just say drama. I do like that term. That's a term I've accepted quite happily.
Yeah, I like that. Frequent users of ellipses, dashes, and semicolons. Semicolons and colons, I like and I respect them. I don't really want to use them very much. ZB Steele was just criticizing one of my periods in dialogue yesterday, I think, because he's beta reading Ostringer's Wrath now. It's done. It's really done. But I just need to make sure it doesn't confuse people how it's done. But he wanted one of my periods to be a colon. And like, I know that technically it would be better as a colon, but it's dialogue. So I can do what I want. I don't need it. And a colon in dialogue just feels wrong. You know, like colons and semicolons. I really like that little squiggly line. I have no idea what it does.
Tilde.
People, we use it for in place of around. Like
okay.
About 50 of something, you put that little in and 50, and it means about 50.
Yeah, I just use it on social media and when I'm texting to mean like this thing is cool.
EL is saying it does not mean. EL is saying it does not mean approximately, but I am saying that is what we use it for. we being Americans, so we are
Wait.
probably using it wrong, and that's fine. I accept that as well.
Tilde is the little one that goes over letters.
Over the N, yeah.
Yeah, but this is like it's like an M dash that got bent out of shape.
That's right. It got smashed on both ends.
I guess it could be a bastardized tilde. Maybe. I don't even know if I'm saying tilde right, but yeah, I don't know. I'll look it up. I will look it up and find out after this because now I'm curious. I've just been using it willy-nilly.
So now you must do research.
I do know about tildes. I just didn't relate those two keys together because how do you put it on a letter from the key on the keyboard? Do I like hit Shift F squiggly? That would be really hard way up there.
Tim, do you know this one? You knew the one for the N dash.
Yeah, it's back on the days where you had a typewriter where you could actually back up a space and then hit it, and it would go over the same letter because it was higher up.
Oh,
but
yeah, I don't know how to do anything special on a keyboard. I know where the letters are, and that's enough for me. Yeah, but I'll look it up later because I feel like that Montague is saying
a tremendous amount of ground here tonight. I'm very excited about this.
Tim has another use.
Mike?
Yes.
Just for S's and G's, can you show the cover of her book one more time? Because we should have at least a few seconds of talking about her book.
That was the point of her being on this time instead of correcting people's grammar.
I don't think I even fully answered the question of what my book was about. I think I got distracted.
Well, we know it's not about tree smut.
It's not about tree smut.
That's good.
And there are no real birds in it, even though
there are no birds.
And it is terrifically well researched. So anything people do read, they are going to know is objectively truth.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, there is magical stuff in there. You still have to suspend disbelief at some points. but yeah, it's a woman who's a hybrid who's also a tree prostitute. She's not going to be the one bar licking. Totally different hybrid character. And she's trying to protect her younger brother, who's human. So they're half siblings. They have the same mom, and he's got kind of like a more magical ability, and his is more dangerous. So her abilities are, kind of sensory. It's like hearing good and being a fast runner and having silent footsteps and things like that. But his ability could actually like kill nations and stuff. And so I kind of slowly revealed that throughout the book, what his ability does and the implications of it, because she's keeping the full implications of it from him because he's so young. And so she's trying to protect the world from him as well. So trying to protect him from the world, trying to protect the world from him. That's the main plot of the book. So the main plot of the book has nothing to do with the romance. The side romance comes in because she needs someone to pawn this brother off on due to foreseen circumstances that she probably could have prevented if she made better life choices earlier on, but she didn't. And so she has to find somewhere to put this kid, basically. And she's not like super old. She's like 19, so she's not really responsible enough yet to, I mean, she probably could, but she won't. But yeah, so she sends this child off with one of her prostitution marks that she, had met at work. And then, so he takes this kid, and that's the rest of the book is basically spoilers. But it's basically just her trying to keep her brother safe. And so she does happen to have to interact with this guy, and that's the romance. But it's definitely a side plot, and there's no touch her and die. There is touch her and forget. One of my readers made that comparison. One of the gifts is Epheser, which allows you to steal the memories of another person. You don't get them yourself; they just get destroyed. but you can make people forget certain things. There are rules with that, and how it functions. But that is one of the more magic-y abilities. But yeah, so there's touch her and forget. There's not touch her and die. And yeah, there is so much forgetting. But yeah, so that was a fun thing to write too. When you have like kind of selective memory and it's weaponized, just very cool things that you can do with the plot. Yeah.
All right. Hey, EL, I am going to say that this Saturday, Mike will be talking with Bill Sherrick and Edward. And I would hate to be them because they're having to follow this, and I do not in any way, shape, or form think that they picked the wrong person to follow. So,
my comments always kill me.
What's that?
Maya's comments. She has the best things to say about the book. So yeah, people sugar daddy.
So we're going to put Tree Smut right down there with zombie porn, and
yeah. But for our guests to try to talk them up, I will say that Bill Sharrock is from New Zealand and Edouard Artis is from France. So we will once again 3 separate continents across the world, surely 25,000 miles between us all. And we're going to be talking live, and it's free, which just boggles the mind for old people like me.
And it's 4 p.m.
And it's 4 p.m. on Saturday.
4 p.m. Eastern.
Yes.
Who knows what the hell that is everywhere else?
Because, 20 years ago, you would have had to be CBS or ABC to pull this off. And now we're going, 2 schmucks like us are going to do it for free. So there's that.
Yeah, it is exciting. It's wild to me to have so many author friends from everywhere. Like I've made some New Zealand and Australian friends. Like Ed Greaves is my main New Zealand friend. And, as somebody who really didn't get on the internet much until I was like 17 and got my own laptop, it is. And then even then I didn't really do social media that much. I've had a Facebook to talk to family, but getting on Twitter and meeting the book community has been wild. Just people from everywhere, and you can talk to them at any point, and like it's daytime during their nighttime, which works out for me because I'm awake at nighttime for my job. But so I've got a lot of British friends, and it's cool.
And you must be doing it well because right now we're showing 61 viewers, even though we've been at this for an hour 20. And
I apologize to everyone.
No. 61 that's top 3 or 4, right, Mike?
Yeah, I think
that is a lot. That's more than I don't know if there's a place I can see it, but I didn't think I was that popular. Thank you guys.
Well,
it's certainly not us. It's all you.
Tree Smut must have made its way through Twitter, and that's why everyone's here.
Everybody jumped on late. It's like Tree Smut.
There's no Tree Smut though. Just in case anybody just got here, there's only tree prostitutes. No Tree Smut. Everything is fade to black.
All right. Well,
disclaimers on the cover.
Thank you very much for joining us and sharing all your insight into actually researching fantasy as opposed to just making shit up like I do. And
it's still largely making shit up. So
thank you to all of you who have joined us for this. We appreciate it. We know you have other things you could be doing, and we certainly very grateful that you're hanging out with us. If you haven't, please like and subscribe. And Mike?
It is time to wave awkwardly.
All right.
Goodbye. Thank you.